Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and I want to begin first, as I always do, by thanking our newest Patreon supporters. We have Paul Greenslade, Barry, Ryan Cornelius, Jeremy Mann, and Chris Allegretta. So I want to thank all of you for your generous contributions to the channel, and I want to thank everyone who's been contributing on a regular basis and everyone who has been watching too. We're over 1.5 million views so far in the last 30 days, which is a pretty good milestone for the channel. Now, I usually see a big uptick around this time of year as people are beginning their research into holiday shopping items, and I'm popping up on a lot of searches and whatnot, but it's always good to see those numbers increasing. I think we also added about 7,500 subscribers in the last 30 days as well. So really good month here on the channel. I'm just going to keep working hard as I can to get the content out to all of you, and I want to thank everyone as always for helping grow the channel through your support. So what did we do this week? Well, we looked at the Lenovo Y910 gaming all-in-one PC, and I was very pleased with this one. Typically, I'm not a big fan of all-in-ones because they're hard to work on. This one is upgradable. You can just slip off the back panels and swap out its GPU, its memory, and its storage, and you can find that review linked down below in the master playlist. Very easy to get at. It's just these little panels you slide down and you can get to town on it. Now, the one I looked at was the entry-level version that has an NVIDIA GTX 1070 GPU. There's one available with a 1082, and down the road you can always upgrade the card if something better comes out, and that was really cool to see on an all-in-one, and it looks like some of you agreed with me as well on that. Both the Olysis here and Aleph Piham were mentioning that it really does look pretty practical and pretty well engineered, and I can't disagree. I think it's a pretty decent little computer if you're wanting power in a small form factor. We also took a look at the TP-Link smart Wi-Fi bulbs. These are pretty cool. They connect directly to your Wi-Fi without the need of a hub in between, so they can all connect up individually and you can control them via an app as well as Amazon Alexa. Not as feature-rich as the Philips Hue lamps are just yet, but I think it's more of a software thing at this point, preventing them from having more features than they are currently shipping with. So there's definitely some potential with these. And a couple of you wrote in with some good comments, and one here from Clay Mann was definitely worth thinking about because it looks like he had bought some early versions of Philips smart lamps and discovered that he can't control them anymore because they've moved on in the software department, and he's concerned that TP-Link might do the same at some point with their products as well. And there's always the possibility that that might happen, that maybe 5 years from now they change their technology platform and shut down control for the older generation of bulbs perhaps, even if they are still functioning as light bulbs. These LEDs last a long time, so it's definitely conceivable that that can happen, and that is always one of the risks when you are an early adopter, especially as early as we are right now in the Internet of Things. But nevertheless, I thought they were pretty cool light bulbs, and you can check out that review. And I also took a look at what I think is probably the best deal that I've seen so far this year on a desktop PC. This is the Acer Aspire ATC 780. It's $400, yet comes packed with a quad-core Skylake i5 processor and 8 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. A very good deal. Lots of performance out of this thing. I was quite pleased with how well it worked out of the box. There's also a PCI X16 slot on board, so you could conceivably get a GPU in there. I might do a follow-up on that when I do find the GPU that's compatible. It only has a 300-watt power supply, but this is upgradable and inexpensive, and I think that's a good thing. We got some good questions on this one as well, too, here in particular, that I thought were of interest. Andrew Tran wrote in and said he went over to PC Part Picker and tried to price everything out, and his cost on doing it himself was about $400. So he thinks it's a pretty good deal as configured because you get the OS as part of the $400 price tag with Acer. And Shirak Deshmuk, I hope I got your name right, suggested that I try to get a GTX 1050 Ti Mini crammed into it, and I might try to get one of those graphics cards and see, because they are slot powered. Now, one of the things that I noticed on the power supply on this device is that it does have extra Molex connectors, and I got in a couple of GPUs from PNY that we're going to be playing with in a project that I'll be talking about in a minute, and I have an adapter to get those two Molex connectors converted over to this one here on the top of the GPU. So if I'm able to get that to work, what I might do is try to cram this in there and see if we can do a little before and after when we add some graphical assistance to that Acer PC. I'm really quite pleased to see something that inexpensive that is that upgradable and something that you don't have to build yourself. So stay tuned. We might be doing more with that PC in the very near future. And we also took a look at the PNY Elite Portable SSD. This is a very inexpensive, about 120 bucks, but high capacity capacity solid-state drive that delivers really good performance in a small form factor. And I like these drives because they're rugged and they're fast. In fact, when we did that how to install Windows on your Mac with an external drive video, that was the drive we used. It really does work quite well. My plan is to take this with me to CES this year so I can edit video on the road. And I like having that peace of mind of having almost half a terabyte of space and knowing that if I drop it, I'm not going to lose all of the day's work. That's some of the peace of mind you get from one of these things. Great exchange on the comment section here from ODogWow2 and Matt here talking about different types of flash memory that might be used in these drives. I'm not sure if this one has TLC or MLC. It's likely TLC given what we were seeing in the drop-offs in performance as we were writing more and more data to it. But Matt here also talked about some of the long-term endurance of these drives, because that's often a point of concern when you buy an inexpensive budget flash drive. How long might it last? And I think these drives will actually do pretty well, and Matt seems to think that's the case given some research that he has located there. So definitely check out the article he is linking to. And on Thanksgiving Day, I had a big problem with my Mac that I told you all about, which involves Boot Camp, which is Apple's way of booting up Windows natively on Mac hardware. This has been something they've let us do for the last 10 years or so, and they provide all the drivers you need. This is an officially supported thing by Apple to be able to run Windows on your Mac. And what happened was Thanksgiving morning, I wanted to go play a game and booted it up into Windows like I had done a couple days before. And the big difference in this session with the laptop versus prior sessions was that I plugged in the official Apple dongle with a Xbox controller attached to it, and I heard these horrible popping sounds coming out of the computer. It sounded like sparks to me, like there was something inside completely frying itself. I fully expected to hear or see smoke and fire perhaps and smell all the smells of electronics burning, and that wasn't the case. It actually just was working after the popping ended. However, it blew out the right side speaker on the Mac, and the left side speaker was also damaged and very distorted now as well. I called Apple Care on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, and they agreed to take it back, no questions asked. And what they were going to do is have me send it in for repair, and then they were going to send it back to me, which could have been 2 weeks or more without the computer. I was willing to do that just because I have other stuff I can work with, not a big deal. And then the next day, actually Sunday, yesterday, I got a call around dinner time from another Apple Care representative who said that he's been investigating this specific problem and they want to speed up the process for me. So they're actually doing an advanced replacement where they'll be sending me a brand new laptop, the same version that I have, and when I get it, I'll send the other one back to them. So that is the update on it. There's no update yet from Apple as to what is causing this problem. There's a lot of speculation from folks that it might involve an audio driver because that was something Apple quietly updated the other day. But right now, there doesn't seem to be any official word from Apple as to whether or not this is a hardware defect or some software driver that is interfering with the electronics in some way. We don't know. So I think we need to wait it out a bit and see what Apple comes back with. So I think if you do have a brand new MacBook Pro with Touch Bar, I would not install Boot Camp on it. You'll be fine with virtualized Windows. So if you have VMware Fusion or Parallels, that should be fine because it doesn't use the same drivers and it's using the Mac hardware, the Mac layers to emulate or virtualize the Windows environment. So I think you're okay virtually, but if you boot up natively, the recommendation from a lot of folks is if you have to do it, plug in headphones before you boot so that this problem doesn't occur. And I would agree with that, but I would also caution just hold off on Boot Camp altogether until Apple clarifies what is going on with this, because I can tell you this much, when the new one gets here, I am not running Boot Camp on it until it is functional again. And for a representative question of this video, this is one from Ray Sizzle who says, why do you even bother to run Windows on a Mac? And every other comment was this question. And the reason is pretty simple. I've already explained this in my other video I did on how to install Windows on a Mac, but I will answer it again here so I can point people at this explanation. So here's the deal. I'm a Mac user. That's my preference. I really like the Mac platform. I like how stable it is. I like how, with the exception of my current MacBook Pro, how decent and how long the hardware lasts for. As I mentioned in my prior videos, I got 4.5 years out of my last MacBook, and it's still working over there, and it still does great things and will continue to do great things for me and my business. They are very good computers, and the operating system is very stable and secure, and I really just prefer it. And I have applications that I use on the Mac that I can't get on Windows, namely OmniFocus, my task manager, Final Cut Pro, which I use to edit videos. I'm like completely into it. I can't change to anything else at this point because I'm too old of a dog to learn new tricks. And I use Keynote quite a bit also, which is Apple's version of PowerPoint, which is just awesome. In fact, fact, Keynote powers most of the graphics that you see here on the channel. I'm running it right now on my little MacBook Air here on the desk. So there's a lot of reasons why I really can't easily switch over to Windows to be my daily driver computer. And I just, again, prefer OS X. But there are things on Windows that I can't run on the Mac, namely games. And I'm not a big game player as much as I used to be, but I do like to boot up a game every once in a while, especially when I'm on the road, because when I do some business traveling at night, I'm not making videos because I'm at a hotel somewhere and there's no kids to put to bed. So I've got a couple hours to kill. I can take out my Mac and hook up a game controller and play some AAA titles on my Mac and enjoy the evening. And that's something that I'd like to be able to do without having to lug a second computer around with me. And the fact that you can boot it up on the Mac natively, I think, is awesome. And you can get some decent performance out of that MacBook Pro, as I demonstrated in my other review from last week. So that's why I run Windows on a Mac, to play some games, and that's pretty much it. Now, I do boot up the virtualized version I have of Windows on my Mac quite a bit also, because there are some applications I use in my day job, namely some database apps and some other things that I cannot run on the Mac side either. So I do a lot of virtualized Windows on the Mac, certainly more so than Boot Camp. But Boot Camp is primarily a means of just playing games on my Mac. And unfortunately, right now, it looks like if I do that, it's going to blow up my speakers. So I'm going to have to wait a little while before I game on my Mac again. And now I want to talk about a couple of things that are on my mind. And the first one is my extras channel at Lon.TV/extras. And I just wanted to tell you what I'm planning to do with that channel. So I've been uploading more and more content to it, and I've been seeing more and more people subscribe to it, which is great. And what that's going to be is unboxings as well as snippets from the weekly wrap-up videos here, because I'm often doing things that are very search-friendly inside of the weekly wrap-up video, and I don't want to clutter your feed up on this channel with repeats, essentially, of components of different videos. So I'm taking things out that I think might be a very good search target for people looking for specific information and putting them over on the extras channel so that I can get some viewership and maybe some new subscribers to this channel from there without cluttering up your feed. So that is why I've got that put together there. And I'm doing a bunch of unboxings, and unboxings are so quick and easy for me to do. So I just throw them out over there and you can check them out. I just unboxed a big Vizio soundbar that I'm reviewing later this week, and I've got a couple other things on the horizon too that you can check out on there. It's just kind of fun, random stuff that I can just upload to my heart's content without worrying about cluttering up people's feeds. And I think if you subscribe to that channel, that's a signal to me that you don't care. As much as I can send up, you'll watch, and I'll just keep throwing things in there and you can keep watching them. So if you want a lot of stuff from me, that's where you'll get it. I'm going to try to keep this channel to a video a day at the most, but sometimes you might get 2 or so if there's something really crazy going on. But generally, that other channel is where I will do a higher volume of uploading, but the pace here will stay the same on that. But I just wanted to clarify it. And another item I've been struggling with here is this comment here from Michael Script, and something I've been trying to troubleshoot, which is that you may have noticed some of my videos have been a little jaggedy lately, and this coincided with an update to Final Cut Pro, the Apple Mac application that I use for video. So here's the complex answer to this question, and this may be a little more information than you care about, but it's been something that I've been struggling with that I'm finally figuring out the solution to. So I shoot these videos at 1080i, which is so, I guess, 10 years ago, but it's what my camera's output, it's what my TriCaster likes to work with, and what I've been doing is taking those videos, editing them on my Mac, and then exporting them via Final Cut's share menu and just getting a 1080p file that I can upload. Now, for the longest time, I thought that video was getting de-interlaced into a 1080p 30 video, and that's what I was sending up. However, it appears to be that wasn't the case. In fact, the videos I have been uploading, all of them, up with the exception of the ones that are jagged, have actually been interlaced. But for whatever reason, YouTube actually does a good job in de-interlacing the video for you to see. And what's interesting is when I was watching these videos on my computer screen, I wasn't noticing the interlacing on the final video, even though I would see it on the raw footage that I'm bringing in. And apparently what they did in this Final Cut update was actually made it upload it or convert the file the right way to a true 30p file, which created the jaggies that you're seeing here in Michael's example. So I've got this figured out for now, and I'm going to just continue. I forced it to upload or create the video the way I used to upload it. And what I'm going to do next is explore how to get 30p content recorded raw here, because my TriCaster is capable of doing 30p. My cameras, though, are not. So I'm really struggling to get these cameras to cooperate. So I've got a few more things that I want to try when I get some more time, and then I'll be 30p officially for as long as I can be, until maybe 1080p 60 TriCaster comes out. So that's what's been going on. If you've been noticing some jaggies on there, I have finally figured it out. I know how to solve the problem, and the long-term solution might require me buying some new cameras, but I'm hoping that I can coax these cameras to output video in a way that the TriCaster will take at 30p, because I really need to use this TriCaster to be efficient, because it is doing everything you're seeing right now in real time. All I'm doing is stringing edits together. If I had to build what you're seeing here on screen every time I did one of these videos in post-production, it would take me 4 times as long. So that's why I use the TriCaster. So I'm going to figure this out. We'll get it figured out, and hopefully everything will be working better in the near future. But I was so relieved to finally get my own answer to that question the other night, because it was really driving me nuts. So now it's time for some more Q&A, and we got this question in here from a little older who talked about moving over to the Hue light system. And this is really probably the best lighting system out there if you're looking for smart bulbs, because it's compatible with everything. So it works with Google Home, it works with the Google router, it works with the Siri HomeKit thing, it even works with the Alexa system from Amazon also. So you can actually turn your lights on with Alexa and turn them off with Google Home, or vice versa, because Google, the Philips system works with everything. I haven't reviewed the Philips system on its own just yet. I did do a video with it on the Google router and how it interfaces with that. But if you are looking for smart bulbs that really have almost universal compatibility, I think the Philips system is probably the one to look at the moment. And the prices on it have come down dramatically. It does require a central hub unit to be installed and running on your network at all times to communicate with the bulb. So the bulb doesn't communicate directly to your Wi-Fi. It goes to its hub, which is connected to your network. So all the bulbs have to see the hub. You can connect about 50 bulbs to that hub, and it's been out for so long now that they've really refined it, and I think it's a very good system. So that's what I would probably recommend right now for light bulbs, unless you want to play around with something like the TP-Link bulbs that don't require a hub. And Barbara Barboso Mikado wrote in asking about the best pairing of a compute stick to a television and what some of my recommendations are there. And I'll be honest with you, I am really not a big fan of using a computer on a television, especially when you're sitting on your couch. It just doesn't feel all that natural to me from a user interface standpoint. And as you all know, I'm a big fan of the NVIDIA Shield TV, that really powerful set-top box. And that thing does a lot on a television and has an interface that works very well when you're sitting across a room from it. One of the things that I have used, if you are really hell-bent on running a computer on your television, are these little Logitech keyboards. This is the K830. I bought this one about a year or so ago. It's got an integrated trackpad, and it really works nicely. They've got a cheaper one here for about 20 bucks that does the same thing, just flimsier. So there are some good options for using your keyboard and trackpad away from your screen if you are planning to sit on a couch and use your computer. But here's my advice. I would actually look at whatever smart television you end up with. And she's asking about the fact that smart TVs might not be compatible with computers. Nothing could be further from the truth. Smart TVs are just as good as dumb TVs when it comes to hooking up a computer. But if you are buying a smart TV, I would suggest buying the TV by itself first, bring it home, hook it up, and see what kind of apps it has installed on it and whether or not those apps are good enough to get your work done. Because I'm finding that these smart televisions have gotten a lot better, and their interfaces and the available apps now rival a lot of the set-top boxes insofar as video options are concerned. So especially like my Samsung TV and my LG TV upstairs, both have Amazon Video, they've got YouTube, they have Google video through the YouTube app, they have everything but Apple essentially on one box, which you don't typically get with a lot of these set-top boxes you might buy separately. So right off the bat, you've got some good things going there. My LG set upstairs, and I think the Samsung has available now too, are web browsers too, which is another thing you might typically just use a computer for. And they've got some pretty quick processors in these televisions too. So you might get everything you're looking for in having a computer hooked up to the TV already built into the TV itself. So what I would do is go to the store if you can, try out the interfaces, see what the apps that they have built into the TV can provide to you, and you might save yourself the aggravation of having to get a computer hooked up to your TV in the first place. And the best part about this keyboard trackpad combo, at least with the K830, is that it has a Bluetooth option that may very well work with your TV. So that is definitely something to think about before you go down this route. Now, if I had to choose for a compute stick, I would say the Intel compute stick that runs with the Atom Cherry Trail processor is probably the best bet at the moment. I'll put a link in the master playlist to my review of that I did probably about a year ago now. So that one's a decent one. It's made by Intel. You can't go wrong with that, and decently powerful enough to do basic computing functions. Intel has some more powerful ones available also with a Core M processor, but those cost a lot more. So the Atom Cherry Trail one I think is less than $200 or close to it, and a decent way to get a Windows computer on your television if you really have to. And with the holidays approaching, everybody's asking me what the best computer value is under $200 this year, and I will say that the answer to that question is the HP 14AN013NR that I reviewed about a month ago. And this is like a no-name HP computer that you'll find on Amazon for the same price as their HP Stream 11, but it has a much better display and actually does a little better with gaming than the Stream does. And this is, again, $200. You get an IPS 14-inch 1080p display, an AMD processor, which does games like Minecraft and Shovel Knight and other indie games very well, and you're not going to break the bank with it either. The only downside with it is that it's got a crappy trackpad. That's about the only fault I could find with it. It is a little larger than the Stream, but it also is running with a larger display. But I was really surprised by how decent this was for the money. So if you're looking for the best $200 PC, this is the one to get. I got an affiliate link right on the screen there so you can get one for yourself or a loved one. And a Q&A for you this week is, what other cheap computers out there should I be looking for to review here on the channel before the holidays hit? So leave me a note down below. What I'm looking for are things that are current and just released. There's a lot of cheap stuff that is overstocks from prior generations of hardware, but I'm really looking for current generation things, very much like that HP computer I just talked about, because that's something that's not really marketed by HP. You kind of have to find it on your own, and I want to find more hidden gems like that out there. So definitely let me know down below in the comments. So next week I've got some really exciting stuff planned. Now there's not going to be a wrap-up video next Monday. I've got a bunch of stuff going on and I just can't get to it in the time frame that I want. So instead of that, I'm going to give you a week's worth of stuff involving this science experiment here I have on the table over there. So this is that test bench I've been talking about forever. I finally put it together, and I put an i3 based Intel machine that I put together for about $300 or so. Ignore the power supply. That was the only power supply I had around to use. That power supply is overkill for what we're doing here, but basically what you're about to see in this series of videos is a PC that you can put together for probably under $375 initially, and we're going to look at the test bench that it's sitting on. This is a really cool kit that you can use to build a PC that you can basically operate in the open air and very easily take components in and out of. We'll look at that component first, and then we'll look at the PC that I built, which is, again, an i3-based machine. It's a dual-core i3 chip. I think it's like $105 for the one I put in there. We've got dual-channel DDR4 RAM on it. I've got an SSD built in. We're going to look at how well it performs on its own to see what the baseline will be for other comparisons. And then we're going to start popping GPUs in. So I've got right now a 1070 in there from PNY, one of their overclocked cards. I also tested it with this 1050 Ti card, as well as this one. I think this is their 1060. So we have a whole range of NVIDIA GPUs that we will look at on a low-cost PC to see if there's a point in which it doesn't make sense to keep upgrading anymore with a basic i3 processor. And then after that part's done, I've got a bunch of other GPUs that are slower than the 1050 Ti. So I've got a 970, I believe, and I think I've got a 750 Ti or something in the back room. So we're going to look at going up to a 1070 and then going back down to some of NVIDIA's prior generation hardware, just so we can get a good feel as to what each GPU will bring to this computer. And the spoiler is, I was very pleased with what you get out of a relatively inexpensive $150 GPU like this 1050 Ti. It's going to be a fun little project. I've had fun just working on it over the Thanksgiving break, and this room is a mess with boxes and wires and all this other crap all over the place. So as soon as I finish the last round of testing with the low-end GPUs, I'm going to clean this place up. It's getting to be quite a mess. Now, if you want to help the channel, you can go to Lon.TV/Patreon and make a monthly contribution to the channel. We also have YouTube fan funding set up at Lon.TV, so you can make a one-time contribution to the channel. We also have our arrangement with Plex going on still, so you can sign up for Plex without a credit card, which is a great home theater and media application, and we get a small commission for that. And don't forget, Amazon's got a great gift finder. This is an affiliate link. If you go there, you can easily find gifts for your loved ones involving consumer electronics, so check that out. You might see some of my reviews on those products there on Amazon too. And if you want to engage with the channel, you can just sign up for my email list at Lon.TV/email, which I know I haven't sent one out in a while. We also have my Facebook page, which I do quite a bit on. So if you want to see some of those unboxings that I talked about on the Extras channel, you can also catch them on Facebook. The Reddit is at Lon.TV/Reddit, and I will soon be restocking the store with a bunch of stuff that I reviewed on the channel and will be reselling. I just got to get everything organized once more down here, and I'll put up another batch of stuff to be sold. So lots to be looking at this week. So we're not going to be here next week with the wrap-up, but I will be here with that PC. So lots of cool stuff to check out on the horizon. I've got a bunch of things planned for this week as well. So you'll see some cool things too for the holidays coming up on the channel all this week and next. That'll do it for this one. This is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters, including gold level supporter Eric. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.